Hello, 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 and thank you for coming. Welcome to the movement. We are a motivational organization there to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. We are a movement to move. We're so happy that you came tonight. As always, you guys keep coming back and we just keep having discussions. So we're glad to have you tonight. And our purpose is to help you thrust into your purpose so that you can start living your best life and win. We've tapped into some winning tools and resources, and we just want to share. We believe in sharing, right, Annette?
Yeah, without a doubt. And we thank you so much for coming tonight. We are, as always, excited. I think I'm going to come up with another word next week, but this week I'm excited. Thank you so much. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to come and just have a little talk with us. And thank you. We're so happy to have you here. And feel free to interject if you have anything you need to say. We're excited and we're ready for you.
All righty then. And we have joining us tonight a very special guest, Claudette Freeman. We are so excited to have her tonight. Claudette, you want to give a greeting before we get started?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Trust me, she's a woman of many words. Spoken and spoken. And as we get into this tonight, you'll see exactly what I mean. So, we're going to go into our discussion. There's a saying that sometimes I used to say it all the time until I really thought about it. And that saying is, time heals all wounds. It's not a statement that I like to use because the truth of the matter is that it's not true.
It's not.
If you don't do anything with the time, then you don't heal. If you remain in the same state of depression, the same funk, without counsel, without tools, without an outlet, then healing does not take place. I've learned about a tool that has proven over time to work along with other tools and resources. Our topic tonight, Release, Journaling Your Way to Healing, is all about that tool. We're going to actually get into that tool because I noticed that there are a lot of people who walk around with a whole lot of stuff on the inside, and it's hard for you to get past those situations in your life because that's at the root of your limiting beliefs, at the root of your depression, at the root of, whatever, that low self-esteem, anything that will cause you to not operate fully to your fullest potential. At the root is all of that stuff, and most of us haven't let it go. Some of us have been carrying stuff for 30 years.
Yeah.
Some of us think you walk around with that. Oh, I'm good. I mean, that's
I'm blessed.
Okay. Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. On the inside, you just want to go help me. But on the outside, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. Hallelujah. I'm like, okay, that's a little turn up. So tonight we want to talk about this thing because journaling is very healthy, whether it's words that are written in your journal through your tears, through anger, whatever it is, that's healing. Journaling has so many benefits, and I think it's an overlooked self-healing strategy. And it's one that people just underestimate, or we just figure, especially in our culture, we don't do that. We don't do that. But there's a whole lot of stuff that we don't do that we need to do. Whoever that is, y'all can put it in between the quotation marks. But it's a practical tool that anyone can use at any time. And when we find ourselves in this place, what's happening is that we're brewing this all of this madness on the inside. And on the outside, we're cool as a cucumber. But we put on the mask and we fail to deal with the inner turmoil. We choose to live in a facade. And it's only a matter of time before what's on the inside makes its appearance on the outside. Whether you boil over, or whether the top flies off, something is bound to happen because you have made it an art form we're keeping stuff in. And sometimes, you know, and I get it, you know, you can't tell everybody your business. You can't tell, you know, I'm not one of those people that I want to go up in everybody's counseling session, or I want to go up in everybody's office, or I want to get on the phone with every person, because I'm private with a lot of my, you know, things. We talked about the onion a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And how, you know, we have that outer layer with that you know, everybody sees, and that's not the truth. And then we have another layer under that layer that our coworkers and people that we go to church with see. And then we have that other layer that our family and close friends and relatives see. But down at the core is all that stuff that you want to keep right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some stuff some of that stuff down in the core needs to be in your journal. And that's why we want to get into that tonight, because I actually was introduced to this tool by our guest, and I felt it, you know, necessary that she would be the one to share and kind of give us more insight. Because I could just tell you to get a book and write something down, but I'm not going to go, I'm not going to give you, you know, the tools. I'm not going to walk you through it like Claudette will. Claudette has a way with words. I mean, you know, you know, everybody has gifts. That's not one of mine. I do a little something, but she make me sound real smart. I'm just going to tell you, she makes me sound real smart. And I read something today in something I'm working on with her, and I was like, oh, I know I didn't write that, but I love how she used that word right there, because it made me sound real smart. So for those of you who've got those books in you, I encourage you, and there are a couple of you on here tonight who express that this is the lady that you need to be with. But as we go into our discussion more, I'm going to open up our presentation, and I'm going to get into it, and then that way we can get past this piece. And tonight we're dealing with release, journaling your way to heal. And when I spoke earlier about how we put all of this stuff, we get all this stuff on the inside, and we don't necessarily deal with it. We just keep packing it down. And then something else happened in our lives, and we're like, I'm good, and we just pack that on down. And then something else happens a few years later. Oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm healed. I'm delivered. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I'm delivered. I passed that. And then we turn around 3 times and walk around 3 times and say, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But I'm good is not good. Because on the inside, you don't put that stuff down.
Yeah.
You just like concealed all of this stuff on the inside. And we want to walk through the process of dealing with that.
Yeah.
So I want you to, and I'm going to make this a staple in what we do and what we say. Y'all know I'm going to have you type something right now. So I need you guys to type in, you know, because some people, you know, a lot of people think that they're the only ones, and we did this last week. I want you to type in, you are not alone. Because I know that everybody on here needs to journal. Whatever you're dealing with, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You're not the only one who's dealing with this. You're not the only one who has inner struggles. You're not the only one who keeps stuff bottled up too long. You're not the only one with secrets. You're not the only one with the stuff that you don't want to tell nobody ever, because it can just completely explode everything about who you are. And guess what? You don't owe it to anybody but yourself and God. And that's a great place to deal with it. So, and what we do is, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, I was saying this earlier, a lot of times we get to the place that we don't understand the process of releasing. And release, that word, y'all know I go there. The release it's in 2 different tenses. And when you look at that word in both tenses, and I'm going to go there a little later on my presentation, but when you look at that word in the 2 different tenses, it makes sense as to why a lot of times we think we have released, but all we did was just release just a little bit of the pressure. And that's where I'm going right now, because this is what we have made ourselves become this right here, the pressure cooker. We've become a human pressure cooker. And I don't like, I've always been afraid of pressure cookers because they're very dangerous. And I know that for those of you on here of the Jamaican persuasion, can't live without the pressure cooker, man. But when you when you deal with a pressure cooker, it can have a lot of danger if you don't release the pressure correctly. Now, when we look at this word, and I want you to understand something, y'all know I like to deal with, especially when it's a verb, I like to deal with it in an intransitive form and in the transitive form because it makes you see the word a lot more clear. So when we look at the word release, when you look at it in the intransitive state, which means it's there. See, I told y'all to fire didn't I tell y'all to fire the PowerPoint lady? Didn't I tell you, Claudette, the PowerPoint lady gets fired every week. When we look at the word release, in an intransitive state, meaning it's there, but it's not, it has no motion, it has no connection between it and what is on the other side of the second party. In a transitive state, you are automatically connected from point 1 to point 3. An example, for those of you who don't remember it, and I've said it before, a lot of times you have to say stuff a few times, and I know sometimes you may not pick it up the first time, but in Deuteronomy 1:6, when it talks about, when God says, you have dwelt here long enough, the word dwelt meant set as in cement. And when he said, turn and go, I have set the land before you, it's the same word. Dwelt and set is from the same etymology. But when he said set, that word had motion. When on the other side, they knew the promise was there, but they were stuck. But when they went to set mode, when he said, I have set the land before you, and he told them to go, that word was transitive. It was the transitive tense of the same word. So the intransitive tense of release means to move from one's normal position in order to assume another position or assignment. But when we look at the word in a transitive state, that word means to relieve from something that confines, burdens, or oppresses. So we are not releasing. We're just moving stuff over and pressing more down in the pressure cooker. And then once we do that, we put the lid on and we do this. I'm going the wrong direction. See? Fire the PowerPoint lady. I know, I'm gonna get fired tonight. We seal our fate. And when you seal something, you seal it. I mean, you close the lid as if, and you don't want it, you don't intend for it to open until you have to break the seal.
Okay.
So we put all this stuff on the inside and we seal our fate. There was a song we used to sing. I recorded a song with Gloria Estefan back in the 90s called Seal Our Fate. And in the words she said, we seal our fate with the choices we make. But that is not an intention. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're not, and when we do that, we're just accepting it. Because when to seal your fate means that you come to the conclusion, well, this is who I am. I'm just gonna be this person, and whatever I went through, that's just how it is, and I got to live with it for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, I've never had it good. I've never had, it easy. That things are always hard for me, so I'm just gonna have, that's just the hand I've been dealt. The devil is a liar. You have to stop putting that stuff in that pot. We do that. We're going to deal with this tonight so that we can relieve the pressure the right way. And then that we understand that we can break that seal. But you can't break it too soon. Because what you have to do is you have to understand the higher the pressure, the shorter the time. When that pressure gets built up, whatever's in there is cooked beyond. I mean, it's cooked. And it happens quickly. You think you're dealing with something, but when you're suppressing and pressing and pressing and pressing, and then you seal it, once it starts, it is a quick process. You have all this pressure built up and you sealed it. The higher the pressure, the shorter the time. So then what's on the inside of you starts bubbling and moving, and all of a sudden, I don't know, I watched some films today and some pictures of, but it made me really not want to get a pressure cooker. Now I'll stick with the electric one because I'm too amateur. If the people in the restaurants had the humongous explosions, I could just see that being me. And these people were like tearing up their stoves, and the ceiling had a dent in it and all that. I'm like, I don't need nothing in a pressure cooker that bad. I'll stick to the electric one and keep my safety and sanity. You feel me, Claudette? I want my safety and sanity. So, but when we get that stuff sealed and the pressure is high, the time is shortened. And everything on the inside, we start feeling trapped. We feel trapped in this pressure cooker because the pressure is on. And a lot of people are under the misconception that when you cook with a pressure cooker, oh, you can't go wrong. You can't overcook. You can't burn, you know, but you can cook something beyond recognition. Because once you seal it, that was the best I could come up with, Claudette. Once you seal it, and that thing starts heating up, the high pressure and that high heat, and that shorter time that it takes for that stuff to cook, and it's trapped with no way, and you want to relieve the pressure, and what's on the inside is messed up because you have not dealt with the releasing of the pressure. That's the only way that you can stop the stuff from cooking. But there's a proper way to do it. But if you don't, then you will take it to the point of no return. It's like, it's overdone. No oxtails, nothing, ox mush. So when we look at these particular points tonight, I want us to get into the mindset of what we have done personally. A lot of us have done this personally, and it's something that if we don't deal with it, if we don't have a way to deal with the pressure, and I don't care how many times you've been delivered from something, I don't care, I'm seasoned, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, child, I'm 60 years old, you can still get depressed. Your life can change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
There are life-altering experiences that will take you and flip you inside out. And you'll find yourself sitting there packing and packing and brewing and not dealing with, you have no outlets, you have no tools, too prideful to get therapy, too prideful to get, counseling. So therefore, what we do is that we become the pressure cooker. Yeah. We pressure cook our problems. So now I'm going to introduce y'all and let loose the lady who can help you get to this point of understanding what all of this, she's going to bring all of this home for you. And I'm so happy to have her tonight, but I'm going to turn y'all over to the hands of Miss
Yes,
Freeman. Yay! I want everybody to type in, hello, Claudette.
Oh, wow.
There it is. Show her some love. Type in, hello,
Wow.
Claudette. Hello, Claudette.
Hey. I'm so adorable.
Oh, I did
So,
anything wrong.
so
Get that right.
I don't know what the PowerPoint lady doing, so I'm gonna just
I
start
got
talking, okay? So, the first thing I want to talk to you about tonight as it relates to journaling is something that a lot of people don't really think about, and that is what is it that you really need to be journaling about? What is your soul, the seat of your emotions, and that place where your spirit and your heart have these conversations with you? What is it that your soul needs most? That needs to be the focus of what you're journaling about. So perhaps what you need is a spirit journal. So you need a journal where you're just pouring out to God. You're writing prayers. You're purposely seeking revelation from Scripture based on what your spirit is calling for.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you need a spirit journal, and perhaps what you need is a love journal. This is one of the things that I think we don't do enough of. I used to love going to greeting card stores. And I would buy greeting cards that I just thought were so beautiful and so lovely and send them to myself.
Oh, okay.
Right? So perhaps what you need is a love journal. Perhaps what you need is a journal where you are going in and reminding yourself that you're worthy of love. You're writing love letters to yourself. You're reminding you of how you need to be loved, how you want to be loved, and how you really deserve to be loved, so that you can reshift your love life from an intrinsic perspective, so that what's happening on your love life on the outside, what's manifesting, is not jerky boy, but something more healthy.
Okay.
So maybe you need a love journal. Maybe you need a vision journal. Maybe you need to remind yourself, just like Anita said, that no matter what age you are, there is still vision for you. There is still a purpose. There is still a calling on your life. There is still something you are supposed to do, but perhaps you no longer talk to yourself. You no longer talk to God about vision. So perhaps your season of journaling needs to be with a vision. And for me, this is kind of where I am with journaling. My whole, everything I write right now is about disrupting. I'm disrupting everything in my life that's been disrupting me.
Oh,
My God.
So maybe what you need is a journal to help you identify just what has been disrupting you, what's been controlling you, what's been standing there holding the top on that pressure cooker when it's been time for it to come off. What's been disrupting you? So perhaps what your journaling phase needs to be about is disrupting some things. But whatever it needs to be, we have to be very intentional with what type of journaling we're doing, so that we're exploring what we need in this season, in this movement of our life. Right? Because there are certain times when holistically things might be okay, but you might really be still kind of jacked up. And it's not that that maybe you haven't healed. You may think you've healed, but you're still dealing with everything from the place of pain. So maybe that's what you need. Maybe what you need is a pain journal, so that you can write some new prescriptions.
Wow.
And apply some new medicine, because clearly whatever you use to convince yourself that you were healed, it has not worked. Right? So let your journaling be intentional as it relates to what your soul and your spirit needs. Not so much your heart, because the heart can be deceitful. But when your spirit and your soul start talking to you, that's when you start to really get the truth. And that's what you need to pay attention to.
Oh, okay.
So there are some truths about journaling. Journaling is far more than what we used to see with Marsha Brady or whoever on TV with their little diary with the little key. And oh my God, Bobby read my journal. So he knew that Davy wanted to kiss me, but he didn't. And I know, oh God, Mom. No, it's way more. It's way more than that. Because when you explore the Bible, you see that the Bible talks about writing things multiple times. Yeah. Close to 90 times the Bible talks about writing something. And I believe that is because there is absolutely a healing essence and a healing anointing in the written word. So when you write it, you automatically invite, the healing, you invite that soothing balm into your life. But here is the thing. When you are journaling, before you can even get to that place of full healing or full deliverance, you have to commit to being hurt again.
Okay.
Because when you start journaling, you're going to have to tell the truth. And even though it's only you, why lie to yourself when you're trying to walk a different way?
Come on now. You said it.
Bam, bam, boom. That's a lot right now. You see, I got those.
See, and then here's the other thing. Journaling is, for me, is like having a written conversation with God. So it's almost like you are writing the testament of you for you and the Lord to read. So if that is going to be the case, know that you can't lie to the Lord, because he already knows the truth. He knows the stuff that you're sitting down to get, but you've not been willing to pay attention to him long enough to hear. So when you begin journaling, this is an invitation to him to start talking to the depths of the darkness, the depths of the fear, the depths of the lies, the depths of everything that you've held to be true. And like Anita said, everything that you keep saying, oh, that's just how I am. Oh, that's just how I am. Okay, well, you can just be how you are, but stop expecting everybody to bear the weight of that.
My God.
Right? So here's the truth about journaling. True journaling can be painful. It can be powerful. It can be humbling, because it will break you all the way down.
Wow.
When you move into a time of journaling and you take those deep breaths and you start just writing, not controlling what you write, but just writing and writing, you'll find that once everything is out and you go back and you read it, that you might as well release all of your preconceived notions. You might as well release all of that, but I'm this and I'm that, and baby, because listen, your words will break you all the way down. So allow the humbling to happen. It can be a release mechanism, like Anita was talking about. It will release some stuff that you didn't even know was there. During my season of prayer journaling, I would write all of these prayers, and then like months later, I would go back and read stuff, and I would be like, well, now where did that come from? Because I don't remember writing that. But when you purely allow your words to flow, when you purely invite God into that moment, everything that you're holding, everything you don't want to look at, everything you put the beautiful Mary Kay lipstick on comes up. I don't know. How old are you? You know me. That's some lip gloss and call it a day. But, so it's a very natural release mechanism. And because it is, then it becomes cleansing and it becomes freeing. But now there are some things you have to do between the release and the cleansing and the freeing, and that is make a commitment to yourself not to go back and pick up the stuff.
Okay.
So in between the release mechanism and the cleansing and the freeing, part of your journaling needs to be about rescripting who you are. So that's not just how you are. That's just who you hold on to, because that's safer.
Wow.
Because if you're living in a hurt place, if you're living in a depressed place, if you're living in a still mad place, if you're living in a still not succeeding place, that is not God. Because he's come so that you have life and have it more exceedingly and more abundantly. So there is something that you're holding on to between the release in the cleansing and the freeing, and you have to take care of that. So between those two, then allow your journaling to help you re-script who you are. One of the things I love about writing fiction is I can create characters who are powerful, who are these strong women, you know, and this, that, and the other thing. And a lot of times when I go back and read stuff that I wrote in fiction or in plays, then I look for those characteristics in those women that I might be missing or that I need to build or and work on more in me. So journaling is a bama, but again, it can be a powerful release mechanism if you use the style of journaling, the form of journaling that your life is calling for right now. So whether it's prayer, again, love, visioning, disrupting, that's where you need to be. Okay? So writing or journaling is designed to confront.
Mm-hmm.
So know that when you sit down, you're going to confront your issues, your demons, your problem areas. You're going to allow God to reveal some things to you. And some of the things he's going to reveal to you are going to be about you. And they're going to be things that you don't like. And you're going to want to tell God that he must be wrong because that's not you. And that's how you know that he's right. So it's about confronting you. It's about confronting your mindset. It's about confronting your behavior patterns and your thought patterns. It's about mourning. Only briefly, you know, don't go journaling and getting your journal and just decide you're going to mourn for a whole year and woe is you for a whole year. That's not what this is about. This is about, okay, you confronted, God confronted you, you going to mourn. You going to pop open, you know, a bottle of wine and you're going to cry for a few hours.
You're going to cry, right, cry.
Okay, you know, go ahead and cry, drink your wine, you know, drink your pint, eat your pint of ice cream.
On and on.
Right, exactly. I can't. But, you know, mourn briefly and then close that door and turn around and open another door.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around and open another door. But don't let the mourning bring you down. You have to allow it to remind you that you overcome by the word of your testimony. So the words that have allowed you to mourn are the next step to you overcoming because you faced them.
Mm-hmm.
So don't mourn. And then the other thing is laugh. Laugh at yourself. Just have a good laugh because guess what? You did it. You made it through. And laugh because you stayed in that situation so long. Laugh at all of the blessings and the stuff that's going to come now that you've confronted, you've mourned. Just laugh about it. And then again, have another moment of release. And the wonderful thing I like about journaling is you can have so many moments of release where you release every layer. You release every layer, like Anita was saying, you guys were talking about the peeling of the onion. You can release every layer, you know? And some of those layers have been there so long that you don't even know they're there. You don't even know they're there. But there is something about journaling and putting a pen in your hand and putting that pen to paper that calls all of that dead stuff off of you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I got my hand. I raised my hand. And I'm raising my hand because there's something that one of the people said, and I agree with the themed journals. That's something that I had never considered because a lot of times, you know, I think that what we'll do is we'll have one journal and we'll just write everything in that one.
Right.
But when I look at this from the perspective, when you said no, you have to write what your spirit needs.
Yes.
And if your spirit needs love, and if your soul needs disrupting, I like that one. That one was a good
Yeah,
one.
I did too.
And so it made me want to go out. Actually, those are two journals. I want to create a love journal and a disrupting journal because I just love me and I like to hear it. So I want to write some love letters to myself. I just want to do it. Not that I don't know if it's that I need it. I just love it, and I love the reaffirmation of loving yourself. So I love the idea of writing a love letter to myself. So I say I'm going to do vision, disrupting, and love and I want 3 different ones because I might feel a certain way on a certain day. I just wanted to bring that point out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because here's the thing. Sometimes the seasons that we are in our life are about something that we've not dealt with.
Say that now.
And it's about something that we don't get right. And so everything that's manifesting or happening in our lives is not about what's manifesting or happening. It's about the stuff we're not dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the stuff we won't get right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons why journaling is so important, because you don't have to tell somebody, I'm doing this because I can't get money right, because here's the truth about what I'm dealing with money. So maybe that's what you write about. Maybe you disrupt your finances. And what does it take for you to disrupt your finances? Do you disrupt, those old habits? Do you disrupt that whole process of literally eating your money? What do you need to disrupt to get your finances together? So
Say that now. It's rough. See, I see bombs and stuff when grenades. Like, what do I need to blow up?
You're blowing up stuff, Anita. And so then the next part of journaling is read between the lines. And what read between the lines means is once you've written it, give it a minute. Let it simmer a minute, and then go back a few days later and read what you wrote. Read what you wrote, and then do some things. And one of the first things you have to do is take some responsibility for some of the stuff you're going to read between the lines. Take some responsibility, because if we keep putting the responsibility for everything that has been done to us and gone on in our lives on other people, we continue to allow them a certain amount of energy and play in our lives that they don't need to have. So
need it like that.
So take some responsibility. Clearly, there's, if you're in an abusive relationship, you're not responsible for that.
Right.
But if you continue to fall in love with the same man and he has a different name and it's always a bad relationship, that's on you. You need to take some responsibility for that. That's you not dealing with you, and that's you. Take some responsibility. I'm going there now. Take some responsibility for you. If you're on a job or in a ministry or in an organization, and every time you walk in the door, it just feels like you walked into a coffin.
Wow.
That's on you.
Yeah. Come on now.
That's on you. So take some
for you.
So take some responsibility. I can't with you, Anita. Take some responsibility. And then the other thing you want to do is read between the lines is what I do with some of my clients. And I tell them to have a conversation like you're being interviewed by Oprah on Super Soul Sunday. So read your words and let your words ask you some questions about you. And seriously write those questions down so that you can have more conversations with yourself about what you need to deal with.
Stacy said, so my journaling is about me becoming. Action gives us the power.
See?
She said, I'm in a place of becoming.
And that's a beautiful thing. And so in that place of becoming, what you also have to think about is who were you meant to be that you didn't become before.
Oh, preach, preacher.
Oh, we can go home off of that one.
Preach right now. I need to write that down.
And what prevented you or prohibited you from becoming before now. So you have to explore those things so that in this phase of you becoming, you do it from a place of reckoning and recognition and revelation and being real with yourself.
Mm.
Okay? And then the other thing in this read between the line phase is pay attention to recurring words and phrases. So if the word angry keeps popping up, then you might need to have a deeper conversation with yourself about who you're angry with. Who are you really angry with? Why are you still angry? You know, you may, so if that word keeps popping up, or you know, if you're seeing recurring phrases, just me, that's just me, that's just who I am. If that keeps popping up, you may need to again do some rescripting and redefining about what that means. And look for recurring themes. If you're seeing a theme of bad relationships, whether the relationship is romantic, platonic, professional, you may need to think about how you're relating with people. What kind of fragrance are you taking into a relationship?
Okay, I'm just gonna drop my pen on that one.
What
kind of fragrance?
What kind of fragrance are you taking into a relationship? If you keep going into a relationship smelling stink, then that's what's coming out of those relationships. You know? So wash your face, wash your body, figure out why you keep having problems relating to people. And then
fix your odor.
And fix your odor. There you go. There you go. That's all I'm saying. And then finally, give room to the spirit. And that simply means whatever you write, whatever kind of journaling you decide to do, whether it's vision, love, prayer, becoming, shifting, rescripting, whatever kind of journaling you decide to do, give room to the spirit. And when I say that, I mean intentionally sit and invite God into your moments of journaling. And then plan a day where you're going to sit with your journal, you're going to read your words aloud to God, and then you're just going to sit and meditate on what you release from your written word through your mouth and allow him to speak to you. Give him room to talk to you and to tell you whether he needs you to go deeper here. Or maybe he wants to reveal something to you about a situation that you didn't know then. Maybe he wants you to do some forgiveness, right? Maybe he wants you to do some forgiveness.
Maybe he wants you to read it out loud so that you can hear you say it.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about you telling yourself off.
So the words become alive. Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
And so, you know, and I didn't say that, but one of the journaling I would recommend everybody do at some season in their life is a forgiveness journal.
Okay.
That's
because I know God had me in doing forgiveness writing and forgiveness journal. God had me go to some people and ask for forgiveness, and me and God had to we fought about that thing because I felt like they should ask me for forgiveness. And so we had a moment. We had a moment, but I had to come to Jesus because he wasn't going nowhere. So you know, just so we all clear, we can't out God. I just want us all to understand.
Oh, we can't out God. That is
I love that.
So So in writing and dealing with forgiveness, and this is something that the Spirit will, when you give him room, he'll deal with you about forgiveness, because in the midst of all of our layers of stuff, somewhere in there, forgiveness is going to play a part.
Yeah. Yes.
Whether it's forgiving somebody else, and here's the thing that we just really don't even think, whether it's forgiving someone else, whether it's forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe part of forgiving yourself is you have to be real enough to forgive those moments where you were more God than you thought God was.
Out.
And nobody wants to sit and tell God, okay, you know what, when I was 28 to 30, I know Jesus died on the cross, but I had to move him so I could get up there because I just needed to fix some stuff.
This wasn't supposed to be a night, but you know it's really kind of wow.
But that's what journaling does.
It is.
That is what journaling does. It forces you, and it invites you to deal with everything in a way that nobody else has to know, nobody else has to see. And if once you put it in writing, and you hold your words sacred, which means that whatever you pour out in that journal, that's going to lead to you changing or transforming, becoming a better person, becoming who you were meant to be, finally walking in your calling, finally starting that business, finally stop being mad at Leroy because he didn't take you to the high school prom. Whatever that thing is, you can finally fully release it and then write something new for you to follow.
Wow.
So you gotta hold it sacred. You don't write the words, you don't release the words and then leave them when they still have some healing to help you do. So hold it sacred. Whatever, it's kind of like, you know, like we've all probably done at one point or another in a dating relationship when we knew he was coming over. We got all pretty, we put on the good perfume, you know, whatever. And we set up that time. We made it really special. We got the little candles going on, you know, got some real Downing playing in the background and this, that, and the other thing. And that's how you should be with your words. You should make it a special and a sacred time for you to encounter you.
Wow.
And for both of y'all to encounter God.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Who knew that it was that much?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You know, and sometimes you start to feel a little, sometimes I feel like, God, you got me. Because sometimes when we approach a topic to discuss, we don't know the full spectrum until we get on the discussion.
Yeah, true.
And this has opened my eyes in a way that I never thought possible. What did I learn before? Because I've done your journaling stuff all the way back to the morning hour and arrive, release, relax, relate that one. I always get it wrong.
So, yeah, you got it wrong. But it's okay.
So, but it's like, I don't know, I guess, you know, but I know we improve and we grow with our information.
Right.
And it was definitely needed, I believe, because especially at this point in our lives where those of us who are seeking after our purpose and our vision to continue to walk in and live our dreams and to be impactful, we want to maximize the time that we have on earth.
Yeah.
We're constantly in a place that we need to make sure that we're releasing the right way.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what I was stepping into tonight. I have a whole page of notes.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. I did good because usually I'll give you a writing assignment, but
You usually will give a writing assignment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So can I give one? I'm just gonna say.
No, you can give a writing assignment.
I think every woman on this call tonight should, before they shut their eyes tonight, write a love letter to themselves.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna do that because I love her.
I can do that.
That's my homework. Write a love letter to myself.
To yourself.
Oh man. Wow.
Everybody
And
got that?
make that thing deep and make it romantic and
Oh, trust me, I'm going in.
tell yourself about just how just how wonderful you really are.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love me some me.
Wow.
Wow. This is something. He said, I got one, but I'm gonna update it. That's Stacy. You need an upgrade.
You gotta just rewrite it all together. How you loved you yesterday has nothing to do with how fierce you are to be loved today.
Say that. How you loved you yesterday has nothing to do with today.
Okay.
I'm sure gonna have me a love journal. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Claudette.
Oh man, that was
Thank you.
We should have put Claudette at the end. Because that was
She coming back. She coming back right after
yeah, thank you. That's so
L. Anderson. We're gonna all chime in.
All right. Now that the covers are pulled back, what we gonna do?
What else gonna do now, Harpo?
Well, we're gonna have pruning for the soul. The Bible says in John 15:1-2, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Just why it's important to plant life is also important to our lives. Pruning actually means to cut away. And when I was really studying this, I was looking at pruning. It said it means actually we get cut so we can bear fruit. There's some times when I was listening to Claudette, and a lot of the stuff she was talking about is some things that we need to cut away to bear fruit, to be able to do the things that we've been called to do. It also means to become more independent of others. And also when you cut, I'm not an outdoors person, but I've seen them cut the branch. I used to wonder, why are they cutting them? Well, sometimes they cut the tree branch because it's out of control branch. So sometimes that branch is out of control, so you got to cut it back to get it lined up to where you need it to be. And also it means to influence how you grow. So when you begin to cut away at your soul, you begin to write, and you really, that inner man, you begin to write things that you feel, but you never said it. And so you decide to write it. And the more you write, the more it's cutting away some things. Because to be honest, how we view ourselves and how we look at ourselves most times is really not who we really are. Because the core of who we really are, and when we're talking about that onion begin to peel. Because we have already, over the years, I've already came up with this idea of who I am. You know, I've already said I'm this, I'm that, and this and that. But when I really begin to write down and really reflect on the real deal, you're not who you think you are.
That is so true.
Because I remember I said, God, show me me. You know, when I got real saved, the second time saved.
Real saved.
And I got the second time saved. I said, God, I say, show me me. And when God began to really show me me, it was not pretty. Because see, I had this dream or this vision, how wonderful I am. You know, when I walk in the room, just everybody pay attention because I've arrived. But when God began to cut away some stuff and begin to prune some stuff and those out of control branches and begin to really allow me to see who I am, it's not pretty. So what I have a couple of journals. I haven't journaled in a while, but I went back and I read some things that I wrote, and it was almost like an out of body experience. Like I wrote that.
Yeah.
So at that time in my life, that he was cutting away some things. He was cutting away some people. You know, because we identify a lot of times who the world say we are. not who God say we are. And so we have this misconception or this false outlook of who we really are. And so it's so important to journal, because when you go back, I mean, I went back several years, and I was like, in all my journals, it was like I was always sad.
Mm.
Oh, he left. Oh, he treated me so bad. Oh, he doing. And I said, at that time in my life, it was always about, oh, I am so hurt. Oh, I am this and I'm that. I'm this and that and this and that. And so I think I allowed myself to, again, come up with this false representation of who I was and what kind of mother I was, what kind of wife I was. So I spent a lot of time saying,
Mm-mm.
She froze.
She froze. Yeah.
There she goes.
and so when I start beginning to cut away being the wife and the cut away being the mother, that's wonderful. Cut away being the sibling, the older sister, cut away, all these things. And then I was faced with this person that was stripped naked, because I identified myself as and that the mother and that the sister and that the wife, never and that God made.
Right.
Never, and for years it took me a long time to really identify. And so when I saw this pruning for the soul, my will and my intellect, well, God, I really allowed him to go in and cut some areas. And we already know anytime you get cut, it's going to hurt. And you were talking about that earlier, how it's very painful sometimes, the way I saw myself. And I'm thinking to myself, did other people see the real me? Or what I was just trying to show them? And so that was so difficult for me when I began to see that I wasn't this wonderful person. Yeah, I mean, I got some good qualities, but when God stripped me and I got down to nothing and I stopped identifying with other stuff, then all of a sudden I was forced to deal with me. And a lot of times we hold on to other stuff so we don't have to deal with ourselves. We don't have to look in the mirror and see who we really are. But we hold on to other stuff, and a lot of times it makes us feel good. I was a good mother. I raised them girls, and they turned out very good. I'm a good wife. I cook when I don't feel like it, and I do some other stuff. And I begin to identify with all that stuff. But He's gonna prune your soul, and when you write that stuff down, and like Claudette was saying, the real deal. See, because not your who you think you are, but who you really are. And going to that inner place that nobody's there but you and God. And you don't have to lie to God, because you don't have to prove nothing. We spend so much time trying to prove stuff to other people, and a lot of times really a lot of them don't even care. But we trying to make it look like we we got it going on, and yes, I'm like you said earlier, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored of the Lord, and we get all our Nate going on. And then on the inside, people looking, but it's like tears that's dropping on the inside of your inner man, of your soul. Your soul is crying out.
Yes.
Because people sin. You're showing people something that's not true, and you're living a lie. So this is a way God have given us an escape, for lack of better words, an escape where we can take a pen and write, say, this is what I feel. God, because you can't lie to him. Because if you write that, you ain't lying to nobody but yourself if you don't write the truth. And so what I have found in the time that I did journal, I find that in certain areas in my soul, I was no longer crying. You'll be surprised the people that you see every day. They're beautiful, hair, nails, wonderful jobs, but inside there's no substance, there's no wholeness. There's tears, there's heartache, but we see the outside, and only God can see the really soul of man. And if we could ever tap into that and begin to cut away some things, it hurt. I remember the thing that hurt me the most is when my ex went to prison. And me and Nita talked about this. One day I remember I just didn't hurt no more. And I don't remember when the pain stopped.
You can't put your finger on it.
No, but I know I don't hurt no more about that. Why? Because I allowed some things to be cut. I allowed that necessary pruning, because what had happened with me in that situation, I had an out of control branch They were just hanging in there, sucking all the nutrients, all the nutrients. Because that's what, when you don't prune plants, they suck up nutrients and energy from the root, and they really don't need to. But that's what I was doing. I was just sucking in, and once I cut that out of control branch, all of a sudden I didn't hurt no more. And the thing that I thought that was going to kill me, because really I just go ahead and put a grave, just dig a grave, put the hole and just bury me. Just bury, don't even put no flowers on the grave, you know, because I was so devastated. But now, you know, 10 years later, God, I can honestly say, God, I thank you for the pain. I thank you for cutting that out of control branch. I thank you that you had to cut away things in order for me to grow, because now I don't hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that, we have a journal for your journey. Our journey is really an act of traveling from one place to another. And when I was looking at the journal for your journey, I was like, well, okay, all right, I'm on a journey. I'm going somewhere. I'm heading to greatness. I know that without a doubt. God got me going somewhere. But when I was looking at the journal, one of the reasons that we need a journal while we're on this journey, it captures the moment in your life that you would otherwise lose. There are certain things that happen in your life at that moment. If you don't record it, it's gone. Because I write and it is, and a lot of times I'll think of something, and if I don't write it down, it's gone. So a journal, it captures that moment. It captures that moment, so you can go back 5 years from now, 3 years from now, and see where you were, and where you are now. It also it gives you creative ideas. You may have a thought or something, because I remember Glenda was talking about how she had this idea and she didn't act on it, and eventually somebody else did, and now somebody else earning the money that she should have earned if she'd act on it. So we should write stuff down, because you have creative ideas. I have had so many ideas over the years. I've probably been a multi-millionaire if I could remember half stuff, because I know it was good. I'd be like, oh yeah, child, don't write it down.
The next day you can't get it in your mind.
No.
What was it I was thinking about yesterday?
Well, I do it all the time.
Exactly.
Even if I write, I'll write a quote and forget, and then I have to go back and read it, because I wrote it, but that's why it's so important for the journal. And also it allows you to see where you're heading to. It allows you to see where you were, and it gives you a glimpse of where you're going. So that's why it's so important to have a journal for your journey. And also it gives you an idea of striving towards something bigger than yourself. Because I don't care how wonderful you are, there's something bigger than you. And so when you write something down, you can say, man, I was right there, but God, look what you've done. Now this thing is bigger than me. And also it gives you tips on focusing on your journey. It gives you some ideas. Okay, I did this then. Now look at here now. I done had 3 boyfriends. Oh, they got different, Bob, James, and John. They got different names, but them jokers are same men.
There you go. So
now Bob, James, and John, I got to change, not so much the name and the man, I got to change their character, what I'm looking for. Because I'm looking for the same man, the same fool, the same abuser, the same liar. So when you begin to journal, you're writing that stuff down so you won't, cause.
We can see our patterns.
Yeah, like, wait a minute now.
Yes.
Now, that joker that had braids, the other one had an afro, and the other one had a short haircut.
But it's the same man, Bob, James, and John.
Bob, James, and John, no. So that's important, because now you see there's a pattern. And I'm not blaming Bob, James, and John. Obviously, I'm looking at myself.
Right.
I gotta say, now, why am I? Now, I got to deal with me now, because it's not about them at this point. Because I got to deal with me. Now, why am I attracted to the same man?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to look at me. It's okay. And then why you like James, Bob, and John? You obviously like liars. So when you write stuff down, you can see a pattern. Hey, I'm not going to go this route. And also allows you to reflect at what was going on with you at that time. Why did you feel that way at that time? How did you react at that time? what was your result at that time? So you look at all of those things when you have a journal, and you look at where you were. And when I look at my journal, it's almost like another person, Claudette. It's almost like that couldn't have been me, but I know it was because I wrote it. So the person I was, it's almost like an out of body experience, for lack of better words. Because I'm nothing like that, but I needed to have that experience in order to be where I am.
Yeah.
Every time I write my little aneisms, it's an experience that I've been through. Every time I write in that journal, and what it does, it makes me a better person. It makes me look at life different. It makes me treat people different. It makes me even love people different, because when I look at who I was, and at the time I was went through the depression and all that stuff. God delivered me. Thank you, Jesus. But now, because of that experience, because I can go back and look and see what God did, I in turn can be on, can we talk tonight and say, listen, I went through this, and this, and this, and I overcame it. So I don't believe God allows us to go through anything that we cannot use for his glory.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at that stuff in those journals, and I'm gonna start back journaling, because once you kind of get, it's funny about people, once you get past that hump, when I was real sad every day, oh, he left me, oh, he lied, oh, I mean, it's probably some tear stains in the journal right now. But once I got to the place where I got delivered from that, I stopped writing. So when I was thinking about this, I said, man, I got to get back to writing, so I can look back on, especially tonight, because you gave us so much to chew on.
Yes.
I still haven't swallowed half the thing I've been chewing that you said. Because it was so much, and it was so liberating. And it was so thought-provoking. And, and it made you look at stuff different. And that's what the movement is about, to make people say, hey, wait a minute, you did? What happened? Girl, shut up. So that was so awesome. I was sitting there like, oh, you did? Oh, girl, what? Claudette, say that again. I want to go, I want to hum like church, but, I want to be ghetto and stuff. But it's so important. Now, uncover your secret. When you write in your journal, it uncovers secrets. It develops a different mindset. It uncovers a secret, stuff that I never thought I would think about. I never, in a million years, you couldn't have told me that I would have had thoughts that I have now in a positive sense, because I journaled. I wrote stuff in that journal. And it opened up a whole new world. What that's a whole new world? It opened up a whole new world. It gave me a different outlook. It told me, like, what? It uncovered a secret. Like, somewhere in the back of my mind, I told myself I'll never be anybody, and I never amount to anything. And I look back now, well, wait a minute, that was a lie. That was a secret that was hidden in the back of my mind. And also, it uncovers your secret. It allows you to tap into uncharted areas. You go places like, places that you've never gone before. You can fly higher than you ever thought you could fly. But until you uncover those secrets that somebody told you, you never amount to anything. And then, like I said, I even told myself. And it also caused me to rise and develop my consciousness. I started talking, and when me and Nita first started with the movement, and I was thinking, like, I used to, like, when she'll say something, and I didn't never tell her, I'm saying, I don't know if I could do that. But something on the inside, because somebody spoke to my inner man, somebody told me I could do it, it began to uncover those secrets. And I began to write, it uncovers secret. Mm-hmm. Also, it connects you to your inner wisdom. See, what happens is you're smarter and funnier than you thought you was. Mm-hmm. See, I didn't think I was a dummy, but I pretty much thought I had reached my ceiling. But when I began to journal, I realized there was more to me. There was more gifts and talents that had been laying dormant for so long. And when I began to pick up that pen and I began to write what I was feeling at that time. It began to wake up some areas in my life that was there. Some I knew, some I didn't. I never thought I could write anything. I used to, just write a little something when I was younger, but it began to cause me to tap into those gifts and talents. And when people go back and read their journal, they'll be surprised, like, wow, I wrote that? Did I say that? And it'll make you realize there is some substance, there is something to you. For so long, I didn't think much of myself. And I think me and Brenda had some of the same thing going on. I didn't want to look in the mirror. I went through all that. One time I was so skinny, they called me a bitty. I was so skinny, and they stopped calling me bitty. They just put short bit. So I went from being, oh, well, I'm too skinny, I don't like myself. I gained weight, oh, I'm too heavy, I don't like myself. So when I began to write it down and begin to say, why don't I like myself? What is going on? What caused me to feel that way about myself? And then that's that I begin to heal. That's a healing mechanism. It's important. It causes you to realize that you are somebody. So what if you had to cry? So what if somebody treated you wrong? Like you said earlier, you have to forgive people. We're mad at people. I often say we're mad at people that's in their grave.
Right.
And we're still holding on to it.
And we're still holding on to it. And we've been mad. Some of us have been mad so long, we don't even know why we're mad no more.
You forgot why you were mad. And this is,
but you're still mad.
Yeah.
You, like Claude and Ray at the end of life. Because you had said, we were arguing about something, because you had said, and then they couldn't even remember.
Yeah.
They stopped long enough to do the wave, and they were late doing that, and then they want to argue about what they couldn't remember. And that's a lot of our anger is pent up from stuff that, even sometimes generations back.
Yeah.
Your mama didn't like my grandmama. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah. And we everything just covered and piled on top of us, and we don't realize there's so much to us, and so many secrets that's hidden. And the enemy would want he wanted to leave it hidden, because if you ever really tap into who you really are and who you've been called to be, oh man, I'm just look, any day now I feel like I'm gonna break out. Oh, any day now. I don't know how it's coming, but it's coming. I feel it. Why? Because I wrote it down somewhere. I wrote it down I wrote it down who I wasn't, and then later on I wrote down who I was. And so everything I wrote wasn't always gloom and doom. It was, those few times when I was hurting really bad because of bad decision I made with those Bob, I gave them their name, whatever their name was.
Bob, James, John.
Yeah, them fellas. And so but that was a fault. I chose those people. But anyway, uncover your secret. And finally, the pen is mightier than the sword. I was reading that there was some people had a conflict in view, but it really means to emphasize that thinking and writing have more influence on people and events than the use of force and violence. A pen is a tool which can be used to write, and writing is a creative act that can be used to inform, entertain, and solve problems and communicate. You can create something that didn't exist before. In doing so, writing may have its merit. I was thinking when you were saying how you wrote the stories, you created that. You took a pen and created something that didn't exist out of your mind. And that's why the pen is mightier than the sword, because with a pen you can sign a law into our states and in our government. With a pen, you can write and tell somebody how beautiful they are, even if it yourself. With a pen, you create, take nothing and create something.
Yeah.
So the pen is mightier than the sword, because through the pen, you can tell a story. You can tell a story for people, like some of your stories, you can and they read the books and it soothes their spirit man. A book can excite you. So the words makes a difference. In contrast, a sword is a tool which can be used to fight, conquer, and acquire by force. But when you write it down, you become mighty. When you write it down, you become strong. It empowers you. It gets you to the next level. So writing is so important for the soul. It's like food for the soul. If simple as the Bible, somebody wrote it, and I live my life based on what's in that book. So the pen is mightier than the sword. Whereas writers can share information that can turn the world around with just a signature. All it takes is one word. Somebody can send you a card. I've gotten cards in the mail for my children saying, "Mom, I love you." I was going through some stuff the other day, and I ran across this letter that my mom wrote me in 2006. And she was saying how she loved me, and she was so glad I had came to visit her that day. And that thing I held on to. She's been gone almost 5 years, but because she wrote that, that is mightier than the sword. That will always be with me. You know, I got cards upon cards I keep with my children and my husband or whoever sent me cards. And so words make a difference. So when you write in that journal, it makes a difference. It'll make a difference in your life when you go back and read it. And like I said earlier, you'll see where you were and you'll see where you are. And I dare say you'll get a glimpse of where you're going. So the pen is mightier than the sword.
You know, I got something.
I know. Which one you breaking down?
Pen.
Pruning?
Pen.
Oh, pen. Okay.
Of course, when we speak of a pen, we speak of the writing instrument. And when we look at it in the state of being, y'all know I'm going to the verb tense. It has action. So when we pen something, we indict or compose and write down. But there's another definition in a transitive form of this verb, which means to lock it in. Oh, like you would pen a herd of cattle. So when you write it down, when you pen it, when your pen game is in action, and you pen down those things, your love, your disrupt. I'm telling you, I'm going to do the disrupting one. When you pen it, you lock it in. And if you're going to seal your fate, that's how you seal it. You don't seal it in the pressure cooker. You seal it with the pen that is mightier than the sword. It's mightier than anything that anybody can say. So you can go through your journal and write down that stuff that somebody said to you and pin yourself to life and seal it. You lock it in. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. That's good for you. Hello, Elaine. I heard her come in. I just went on.
Yeah, so.
So you're pinning that. That was like, I had to stop and you know, I had to go into my transitive and intransitive to get it.
I thought you were going to go with pruning. That's why I like pruning. I know it.
Pen got me. Pen got me. Stacy said, lock it in. Seal that it shall be what you said it will be. Pin it. And then, you know, like, because when we look back at all of this, and then Claudette, when we talked about how we've identified ourselves as the pressure cooker, all of the stuff that we've allowed to stay in that pot. And then that heat builds up and we have to release. And then when we understand the process of journaling and those different themes, I love the way Stacey put it, the theme journals. And, you know, choose, you know what, you have to write what your spirit needs the most. And you have to be honest and truthful and read between the lines got me too. And read between the lines. When you go back and read it, you telling yourself something that you should have said a long time ago, but you're scared to say it, but you'll write it. And if you read it out loud, you just done told you off. Ouch. When the covers are pulled back and all of that stuff, you start to cut and prune those out of control branches that's sucking the life out of you. Yeah. You're journaling, you're putting that journal for your journey. You're keeping an account and you're uncovering the secrets and that pen and you're locking that stuff in. That is when we experience breakthrough. Because this is where we at right now. Because the thing is, a lot of us are looking for the breakthrough. I'm telling you, I'm the worst with journaling. I did it when I did Claudette's first class, and I did it when I did Claudette's second class. And I did it when I did it when I was mad at somebody for a minute. And you know, I don't stay mad long. I give you 2 days because you don't get that kind of time, and you ain't gonna get no tears. I shed too many in my lifetime. So when I went back and when I was listening to this, that's why I felt like psh, 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 psh. That's one of these moments, because the breakthrough for a lot of things, and some things that I'm struggling with right now, my breakthrough is in the pen that's mightier than the sword. So I can look at everything and find the meaning in the mess.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you open that pot, what's in that pot after you done pressure cooked it, or when you overcooked it? What's in that pot, Claudette?
A bunch of stuff that you probably gonna end up throwing away.
A bunch of mess.
A bunch of mess.
And if it explodes, it's not
gonna be mess.
Resemble what you put in the pot.
Right.
Because it was too much heat and too much pressure.
Right.
So in all of that, even though we might make a mess of ourselves and might make a mess in that pressure cooker, when we go through the process and allow that hidden, that inner stuff to come out and laugh at ourselves and take that moment and read to ourselves and all of that, then write the love letter to ourselves so we can find the meaning in the middle of all of the mess that we do.
Right. And here's the other thing about the mess in the pressure cooker, Nita, because I've seen the result of somebody opening a pressure cooker too soon and how that stuff explodes out of the pot. But it gets all over everything.
Wow.
So the mess that you're holding and when it just pops off, you're spewing your mess all over everybody.
That's what Stacy said. Stacy said, get it before it explodes, because then it's so much more difficult to clean up. That's why you have to relieve the pressure. But a lot of us don't. We don't, because we don't know how to, and that's why it ends up exploding. We don't know how to relieve that pressure the proper way.
Yeah.
When you relieve the pressure and that steam comes out of the pot, it's a process, and you have to let it cool. You have to relieve the pressure. You have to let it cool before you open that pot. But if you just let it cook and cook and cook, and it gets too hot and it's too heated, and it explodes, not only is it all over the place, but it'll mess up the surroundings.
Yeah.
Cray. That's something. Then we also have to understand too that there's glory in your story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's true.
A lot of times we don't think that our experiences are significant, but that's what you have. That is what is the driving force behind your business, your ministry, your organization, your movement, whatever it is. The driving force behind it is the story of your life. You have lived to create the moment that you're in. Mm-hmm. Everything that has happened in your life from birth to that moment was designed and was written before the foundation of the world. If you follow God's word and follow his direction for your life, you're in the center of his will. Everything you went through prepared you for that.
Right.
And then to my soul, we are signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, it's been signed and sealed.
Journaling surely helps to relieve the pressure, and we have to relieve the pressure, because there's so much glory in the story of all of you. Like, everybody has a different walk. Everybody's experience. You may have experienced the death, but your death experience and my death experience are different, and we have a different story that we can share, that we can help somebody, or we have a different organization or something or business that we can create out of the experiences of our pain or whatever that we dealt with, that can help somebody. But it was all birthed through the process of what was in the mess in that pot.
Right.
But you just gotta pin it. Then when you do all of that, if you just take a moment and breathe, this is what we don't do.
Yeah.
We don't take the moment to just breathe. Why do you think we've been given this gift of inhaling and exhaling from the very one who sat down and breathed the breath of life into the nostrils of Adam and created him.
Mm-hmm.
That inhaling of all of that goodness and all of that glory blew into the nostrils. And when you come into this world, the first thing that the doctor's trying to make you do is cry so that your lungs can start working and you can do what? Breathe. But we take it for granted. We take that process for granted. We take the process of inhaling and exhaling the right stuff. When you take that breath in and you release the pressure on the inside of your soul, the inside of your heart, that's when you can really, really write. You can really, you can really share. I sit here sometimes and I usually have it sitting out, but it's in my purse. I have my bottle of lavender oil. And anybody who knows me, if you ever been to my office or anything, you walk in my office, that's all you smell. I will take my lavender and I'll rub it between my hands and I'll just put the inhale.
Mm-hmm.
And I just take a moment. When I exhale, I take that moment just to think in a peaceful state because I understand the value in the process of breathing. And I encourage you guys to really channel that. You know, a lot of times we think of stuff as, oh, I don't know about that breathing thing. You breathe every day.
Every day.
What is different about taking a moment and doing some breathing exercises that will allow you to calm you? How would you say?
It's an appreciation for life.
Exactly.
And when you think about it, when you think about the fact that in each breath you're still alive, breathing can become praise and worship.
Mm-hmm. Say that.
Mm-hmm. You know, if you've ever had an illness, like if you've ever had like pneumonia or bronchitis, and you're struggling to breathe, you realize the importance of your breaths.
Mm-hmm. It brings on a whole new meaning, huh?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And so there's, you know, some of the most powerful times that I've had with myself or with God is when I just sit my happy self down somewhere and focus on my breathing, feel my body moving when I'm breathing.
I have used breathing to do, in a lot of cases. I'll take a moment and I'll inhale as deep as I can and I'll let that air out slowly and I'm just releasing all of that tension and all the pressure.
Yes.
And I'll do that for like 10 or 15 minutes. I'll take the time to breathe and then you can hear clearly. You can, you know, your senses, your sight and your hearing, when you open your eyes, everything is brighter. Because and that's true. That's a great way of saying it, Claudette. It's just an appreciation of life. I'm appreciating the privilege to breathe the breath of life. To just breathe. To just take a moment and breathe because this is where your breakthrough lies. Just breathe. You release some stuff, breathe. Let that steam out. Shh, just breathe. Otherwise, that's just gonna pile up. Boom, we don't want the explosion. And then finally, just keep writing. Don't stop like yours truly. That's why we're on here tonight. That's why I have a whole page of notes tonight from Miss Claudette because I might need to do all of these journals. I need to have just a whole row of journals because I could only imagine what I can accomplish. It's so much more that I can do. And create and business wise, if I just took the time to write every day. I'm real bad with my vlog. I do a vlog too, and sometimes I'll go a whole week, and I'm like, my whole vlog gonna be, well, I know I haven't been on here in a while. I'm gonna have to cut it out on some of it because I have so many where I say, oh, it's been about 2 weeks. Well, it's been a whole week and since I vlogged, but I'm like, wow. And I'm supposed to be vlogging a certain experience of my life. So I know that I need to put it into practice. Anything that we do, we have to practice it. Like we talked about believing, we taught this a while back. We had a discussion, believing is a journey. It's a process.
Yeah.
So doing this is a process.
Yeah.
Releasing and getting your healing. I want to be healed every day. I don't want to be sick and tied up and having my pots exploding all the time. I don't want that. You feel me, Claudette?
I do. I do. I absolutely do. And you don't want to be in a position where you get stuck and you get stagnant because, it's like you put the stuff in the pot and you're trying to figure out if you ever turn the thing on. And you're trying to figure out why nothing's happened. Why, okay, is it cooking? Do I need to do something? Is it going to explode? You have no idea what's going on because everything in you and everything around you just sitting there stagnant.
Ooh, that's a whole nother level.
Waiting for you to do the thing that you should have done to make everything else happen.
You didn't turn the fire on. Where the fire? Where the fire? Wow.
And it's happened. I did something like that the other day. Made my whole little dinner, put it in the oven,
and didn't turn it on.
Later, I was like, I ain't smelling. I ain't smelling nothing.
You hear that culinary roots? She didn't even.
I was like, well, I ain't smelling nothing.
I do. I hear you.
I was like, now I know, it's a gas stove, so you got to turn it and wait for the little thing to say, whoop. And I was like, okay, I must have clearly doing something, trying to multitask. I'm going to manage several things in my life at one time. That I just went and turned the thing. Well, I turned it on, but I didn't do what was necessary in order for it to heat up properly.
Okay, so that multitasking, how did that work out for you?
It didn't work out at all. But that's what we do so often in our lives. We want to multitask. We want to multitask our lives, and the important stuff, the turning the stuff on so you get some nourishment, goes unattended to.
Exactly. We too busy being busy instead of being effective.
Mm-hmm. And you can be wonderfully busy and not be productive, not be effective, and not be doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And be doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, that's an example, but I think that's what happens in our lives. We multitask our lives, we multitask our relationships, and we multitask even exploring ourselves. So we never spend any time with ourselves. Like Anita was saying, we never focus on our breathing.
Mm-hmm.
We never focus on simple things like being grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't remember to be grateful for just the smallest little crazy things.
Yeah.
My nephew came by the other day and he thought I was crazy. He came by, brought me a 2-liter Diet Coke, and I hugged that boy like he had given me a diamond ring. He was like, "Auntie, really?"
Claudette, that's very normal for you.
Yeah, but what I said to him was, "I'm hugging you because I'm grateful that out of nowhere you thought about me."
I get it. That Diet Coke is like,
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I know.
And I said to him, and I want you to remember this in your relationship, because you paid attention to what a woman likes and you brought her what she likes.
Oh! And then she drinks.
And then I just cheated. It's cheating.
That was a good tea.
Hey, Nita.
Yes.
We need to have a cup when somebody say something like that. Get our cup and put our pinky finger up.
That's why we need our coffee mugs. We're actually creating our Can We Talk coffee mugs.
Yeah, I know. I got to get it done.
So we can put our finger. Tea. That was some good tea. All righty then. Well, this was good. I'm very happy about tonight's.
Me too.
Thank you so much again, Claudette. We are so happy that you joined us and shared your expertise in this area. And we had released one topic, and then when you called me and told me you actually had it available, we were like, we're going to grab her now.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be busy next week and the week after, and the week after that, it's going to be like May or June. Yup. We need to get her now. We told y'all we were going to be bringing on some stuff. So we have, we're happy about, where everybody's, movement, your lives, your businesses. Claudette is booming with Pantry, and I got my ebook back today. I can't wait for the world to see it, but I was so
your lavender.
I was giddy. I was so giddy. I was like, oh my God, it's official. It's official. I'm an author. And I read it like it was the first time I ever read it.
Good.
Like, you wrote it, but I read it. I
Good.
actually sat here and read the whole thing out loud, and I was like, "You wrote that? Like you kind of." But some of the words, I told y'all, some of the words Claudette put in there, she made me sound smart.
The funny thing about it was when I looked at it, I was like, oh, you know what? The one line that I kept saying, that doesn't belong there. Now it looks like that fits. So sometimes you have to see things in a different manner.
Yeah.
It makes it
To see
yeah.
the power of the words.
Yeah. I looked at it, I toyed back and forth with it, and I even have another idea about it, but I'll share it with you and you let me know whether or not to change or leave it. I'm gonna send it to you. But yeah, we're so grateful that you came, and if anybody want to say anything, I'm gonna stop the recording. You can open up your mic.